How About That Cigar?
How about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and joining us this evening. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and this is episode 137 of How About That Cigar Live. We are so grateful to have you with us. You are the best part of How About That Cigar Live, so take just a moment, share us out right now with your favorite Facebook cigar groups. Let everybody know we're live. We have a great show coming up this evening, some very cool and important stuff to discuss. And as always, we are live in the Drew Estate Cigar Studios. And let's remind you about the beautiful new super premium 20-acre farm from Drew Estate. A complex and medium-bodied cigar, 20-acre farm is built using a velvety Ecuadorian Connecticut shade-grown wrapper, a sun-grown Habano binder, and a filler blend of Nicaraguan tobaccos from Esteli and Jalapa, blended with the opulent and majestic Florida sun-grown leaf. Available to all premium cigar retailers nationwide beginning in early December, the ultra-premium 20-acre farm cigars will be available in beautiful 20-count boxes and introduced in a 6x52 Toro, a 5 1/4 by 54 Robusto, and a 6x60 Gordito. For more info, please visit drewestate.com. So, we are live on episode 137. Garrett is on the road again, as Willie Nelson would say, in the great state of Michigan, in Detroit. Garrett, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well, though it's kind of a bittersweet coming to Detroit the day after.
Well, the Lions won their first game. Aren't you happy about that? Oh, you're not happy. Oh, that's right, because they beat the Vikings, and that's your team. I wish I had the wah-wah sound effect right now. I should have that queued up, but it's all right. Sorry, I had to rub it in a little, just a little.
I know.
Not too much.
Of course you did. And you and a handful of other people will send me a particular TikTok as well.
Yeah, well, my team didn't lose because we were on a bye, so that's a good thing. But actually, some very fun, exciting news. So the Minnesota Wilds, our favorite hockey team, are still absolutely playing
red hot,
really good hockey right now. So they're a lot of fun to watch. And two very popular Minnesota Twins from years gone by are finally getting their seat in Cooperstown. So we have Tony Oliva and we have Jim Katt finally getting their spot in Cooperstown. So Jim Katt, great, but Tony O should have been voted into the Hall decades ago. So glad to see them finally in, and also Buck O'Neill, Minnie Mignoso, and Gil Hodges, and Bud Fowler finally got their spots in Cooperstown as well. So that's very cool. Garrett, how is Detroit treating you so far today?
It's fantastic.
Nice.
I landed around noon local time, got checked into the hotel, came by Secreto, and I have hung out with Ronnie all day today.
Nice.
So this is a nice break.
Yeah. This is a nice break. Well, we're grateful for Ronnie and grateful for him letting you broadcast from the shop tonight.
So he just made me some Chaldean something. I have no idea what this is. Ronnie, what is this?
Ronnie, what is this?
It's amazing.
Nice. Well, one of these days, I promise I am going to make it out that way.
Yep.
So we have a lot to cover on tonight's show, and we are so excited because there's some very, very cool news in the world of cigar freedom. And you guys know we've talked about it so many times on the show that this is something very important to us. So we're going to get right into it, and we have some great guests. And as always, on How About That Cigar Live, special guests are brought to you by Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. You'll also find unique and limited cigars containing Florida sun-grown tobacco. As a proud American, president and founder of Corona Cigar Company, Jeff Borshowitz believed it was possible to bring cigar tobacco farming back to Florida. At Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, you'll find the best selection anywhere in the world of cigars containing this special Florida sun-grown tobacco. If you live in Florida or are just visiting, be sure to visit any of the great Corona Cigar locations in downtown Orlando, Sand Lake, Lake Mary, and also the Davidoff of Geneva Lounge in Tampa. For more info on all of that, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to talk about some fantastic news that you've seen recently, and we're going to dive into all of it. So let's start out the show by welcoming back to How About That Cigar Live from the Premium Cigar Association. Please welcome Josh Oberski.
Hey, guys.
And next up, we have from the great state of Pennsylvania, Congressman Dan Muser. Welcome to How About That Cigar Live.
Great to be with you.
And also from the great state of Pennsylvania, the chief of staff for Congressman Muser, it is Tyler Mensler. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys.
So, the Congressional Cigar Caucus, that is the big news that we are so excited about. But before we dive into that, just quickly, we're going to go around and I'm going to ask Josh first, what are you smoking and drinking with us this evening?
So I am smoking the new Sergeant by Ace Prime. For a few folks that know, I recently got involved in a cigar lounge myself, part owner of Embassy Cigar Lounge in Quantico, Virginia. And this is one of our new releases. It's a PCA exclusive, of course. And, Luciano makes great stuff. So I'm enjoying that cigar. I also have a Meat Lovers as a backup, Dunbarton cigar. And then I have an espresso and then the San Pellegrino. So I'm stocked, ready to go.
Fantastic. So Congressman, tell us what you are enjoying along with us this evening.
Well, I will tell you, I just fired up a real beauty from a friend of mine. His name's Robert Holt from Southern Draw. He and his wife, Sharon, run a really fabulous cigar company. And I have to say, I don't just say this lightly. Each one of the cigars I've had of his has been excellent. And as I mentioned earlier when we were talking, I've been smoking cigars for a good 30 years. So I've kind of had them all. But this one, he's a veteran, and most of the people who work in his company are veterans. And this is a Navy SEAL Foundation special cigar. It's beautiful. Just lit it up. And of course, I'm usually packing. So he also has made these what are called the Sharon Rose, which are pretty fabulous too. So that I have that as my backup. So thank you.
Very nice. Yeah, Robert is a good friend of ours, good friend of the show. We've had him on a couple times, and Sharon as well. Beautiful family, wonderful people. So very, very cool. And Tyler, tell us what you are enjoying and along with us on the show tonight.
Yeah, sure. I got an LFD Lennox that I'm smoking right now. And then one of my all-time favorites is the Drew Estate Herrera Esteli Habano.
Oh, yes.
I'm drinking some Texas blended whiskey, Rebecca Creek. So it was introduced to me recently, and I've really it's a really great sipping whiskey, straight, and so I recommend it.
Very nice. I'm finishing up Yagua from J.C. Newman Cigar Company, and about to fire up a beautiful El Politico, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and sipping on a little bit of Old Forester bottled in bond myself. And Garrett, you've got that lovely drink that Ronnie made for you. What are you smoking this evening? Also, there we go, El Politico.
This is a favorable audience, I can tell already, or the favorable host.
So I want to actually start this first one because you guys have not been on the show before. But Congressman, tell us, you said you've been smoking premium cigars for about 30 years. Tell us about that first premium cigar experience for you.
Well, it's funny. Growing up, my dad was police officer, big guy, 6'3", always looked the part. was our football assistant coach and baseball coaches and basketball and everything. And my dad would always come walking in with a cigar in his mouth, just looking strong with that cigar in his mouth. But the cigars he used to smoke were White Owls and El Productos. And so I somewhat picked that up after college. Maybe I smoked a couple during college. So somebody gave me a Macanudo. And I thought to myself as I was about to light it, you know what? As soon as I have this Macanudo, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to those, machine-made cigars again. And you want to know what? I was 100% right. Once I had that, from there on in, it's been premium cigars all the way.
And what was sort of the progression? Because it's similar with me. And one of the things that I loved over the years was discovering new brands and sort of growing into the hobby and all that, sort of like collecting, and so over the years, what have been some of the brands that have just really kept your attention?
Well, in my area, in my district, we've got some great retailers, and we'll talk about that a little bit. It's one of the reasons that we did create, or recreate, I should say, the Cigar Caucus. We're really a distribution mecca and manufacturing and farm growing mecca for premium cigars and the leaves. So I had some really great retailers around me. And then you gain friends whom also have different ideas on cigars. So, I've really run the gambit. I mean, from Monte Cristo, all the different Fuentes, on occasion, an Opus X. I years back, that was the stronger the cigar, the better for me. But I've kind of weaned off of that a little bit. But I was in business for close to 25 years, and there were many days. We were talking earlier about relaxing. I would go out in my car and take a little ride and go to my cigar retailer and fire one up and smoke half of it at lunch and save the second half for the ride home. So it's been that. And then, when I became, I got into state government, I was Secretary of Department of Revenue for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And it turned out, luck we have it, many of the legislators were like smoking cigars. They were cigar appreciators. So we there had a couple of different cigar retailers that had the nice lounge chairs and everything else for us to spend some good time together. And that's what cigars do. It makes people sit down and talk.
Absolutely.
Pretty important in politics these days.
Yeah. So Tyler, what was your first cigar experience like?
Oh, geez. My first cigar experience was in college. You're around with your buddies and somebody says, "Hey, let's have a cigar." And I'm like, okay, we'll try it. And I started to really kind of dip my foot in, but I have to give all credit to my cigar smoking to a friend of mine who owns a lounge in south of Pittsburgh, Dave Puskovich, Leaning House Cigars. He sat me down one day to find my palate. I was going in smoking a Rocky Patel 9 Connecticut, and he laid out 7 cigars, and I was pumping away on job applications. And he told me when I couldn't handle it anymore to stop. That's my palate. And he took me from a Rocky 9 to an LFD NAS, a black label Bishop's blend, and I enjoyed it and smoked through the entire thing. And that is probably my defining cigar moment. And ever since then, that was the love for the industry, the love that took my professional life to the industry. And, now here at Congress, we're continuing that love.
Yeah. Well, it's so great, to have fellow cigar enthusiasts with us on the show, and also to know that, there's some very cool stuff going on right now, even with, one of the things that we've noticed over the years, whenever we have discussions about regulatory events or regulatory happenings, is people tend to, our viewers tend to go a little bit quiet because sometimes they can feel like it's a discouraging topic. But I'll be honest, in recent times, over the last really couple of years, while there have been peaks and valleys, in my experience, a lot of it has been positive. And I think a lot of that is due to people like we have on this call tonight, on this show tonight, working hard on our behalf. And part of that is this exciting news about the Congressional Cigar Caucus. So I want to jump right in and start talking about what the Cigar Caucus is, how it began, and kind of what it's made up of. So who wants to jump right in and go with that?
Well, Tyler, I'll start, but a lot of the credit goes to my chief of staff, Tyler Menzler. He was the legislative director for Cigar Association of America, as you know, and he's got a tremendous amount of knowledge about the importance of the industry. Now, because my district and how it's situated, we have some of the largest distributors of premium cigars in the country, perhaps the world. And there's a reason for that. And there's a business reason for it. And that is that we do not have a state tax on wholesaling of cigars. Of course, there's the sales tax, but not the on the wholesaling. So over the course of the last 12, 14 years, as other states surrounding us, Ohio, New Jersey, New York, of course, even Maryland, many of the cigar distributors moved into my district. So we've got Best Cigars Company, run by a guy by the name of Greg Fox, who's a really good buddy of mine. Great guy. I mean, just so good at what he does. It's amazing. The care that they put into it. We have Cigars International, right smack in my district as well, in Hamburg. We have others right outside, Worldwide Cigars. Arthur, Tyler will
Zaretsky,
yeah. Took me there. We also have cigar leaf manufacturers right within my district, as well as many farms. So that grow the leaves. Throughout Pennsylvania, we have almost 1,000 tobacco, premium cigar specific tobacco farms. So with all of this happening, when I have Tyler coming in, and then we hear about the legislative issues that are the industry is facing. And again, people such as Greg Fox, I like going to the real world for information on anything, as opposed to sometimes the theory, except when you got somebody like Tyler. But they were being threatened with, as you probably well know, with labeling issues.
Yeah.
We're putting all kinds of labels on premium cigars about how the effects and the negative and the health aspects. I mean, look, we all want full disclosure in information, but these are not cigarettes. Okay, yeah. You don't have young kids trying to swipe some premium cigars and running off into the school bathroom and smoking them. They probably don't do that sort of thing anymore, but they run off elsewhere and do with cigarettes. It's completely different product. So there's labeling issues that they were concerned with, but mainly the taxes. I mean, you got a federal government that just wants to tax everything, and they see the type of taxes, the state taxes primarily, that exist on cigarettes. And, guys, certain people in the Senate, Senator Durbin in particular, he wants to hit the industry with an unbelievable tax of nearly 5,000%. So basically a $7 cigar today would be $11 tomorrow. That's significant of a tax. And it would be really devastating in many ways. It would be devastating certainly to American distributors, right? Everybody would start buying online and bringing them in from overseas. It would be a job crusher, certainly for my district and many areas. Retailers' prices would go way up. And there's also something else that would be affected. Here we are. We got a terrible immigration problem, right? And that's due to largely the policies of the Biden administration. But there's also, they talk about the root causes. tens of thousands of people throughout Central America and the Caribbean are employed by the premium cigar industry.
That's
so
right.
We ought to have a little bit of respect and understanding, because that's an important aspect of this too. But it was great when we put the Cigar Caucus together. Immediately, my friends in the house, you say, hey, we're starting the Cigar Caucus. We're starting it back up. Do you want to be a member? First of all, Tom Emmer, I got to just kudos to Tom. Tom's just an incredible member, does some really great things for his district, for his state, for the House as a whole. But he immediately signed on as a co-chairman. We then, just on the House floor and other places, I brought it up with many of my friends that I've had cigars with before or not. Immediately, people were joining, and usually with a smile on their face, like, "Hey, yeah, I'll join the Cigar Caucus." But then when they then further understood the issues, the significance of this industry, the dollar amounts, the jobs, the real importance of it, they said, "Hey, this is something that I want to be part of," because there's also small business issues, right? Every district's got many retailers, small businesses, taking care of their families, taking care of their employees. So it's a very important business. It's a very important industry, and so frankly, and it goes all the way down to farming. You don't get much more grassroots than that. We grow them, we wrap them, we sell them, we distribute them, we enjoy them. And you know what? Come the end of the day, they bring people together.
Yeah.
Republicans, Democrats, every walk of life. So I'm very, very proud to have helped initiate the Cigar Caucus in the 117th Congress.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I want Josh. I think you were about to jump in.
I think that was Garrett, but
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, first of all, Congressman Tyler and Josh, I want to thank all of you for what you pour into the cigar industry. My mini soapbox is going to be this: that everything you just said, Congressman, 100% true. The thing, though, that will break my heart the most is the culture of cigars will start to change. We currently have this culture that brings people from all walks of life. What was once seen as an elitist hobby is now kind of forced into a new bracket of people, and is trending in the way of becoming that elitist thing that we don't want. We want this amazing product to be enjoyed by anybody who wants to enjoy them, from your $2 cigars all the way up, to the ceiling. And I know that majority of the people that are going to watch this video are most likely cigar hobbyists, people in the cigar. But my hope is that there's a few of you that are watching this that aren't fans of tobacco, that aren't fans of cigars, but you learn a little something about why cigars are different, and they are different. So my question to you, Congressman Tyler or Josh, is how do we educate the public that, with the understanding we have a serious bias, how we communicate that cigars truly are a different product and start to evoke change in the mindsets of constituents across the U.S.?
I just, and Tyler, I want to hear from you. But first off, that it is something that really brings people together, right? I mean, it's a way to sit and enjoy, meet new people, have conversation, right? It's impossible to smoke a cigar without it taking a little while, and in places that where people gather. And so for those reasons, it's really something. When you have Democrats and Republicans, we're all smoking a cigar, so it's certainly a time to talk. Secondly, look, I don't know It might be some sciences that differ with this, but I do not believe that cigars are an addictive product, right? I mean, I can go a week, and I might smell it one day and see one and say, oh my God, I miss having a cigar. I'm ready to have one. But there's no there's nothing of that nature. There's no other ingredients in these that create the addiction that, sorry to my cigarette friends, but cigarettes have over the years. And third, I would just say, it's an adult product, right? We have freedoms in this world. We don't want young people. Young people can't buy them under 18, and so it's an adult product that we, frankly, that we enjoy.
Yeah, and I think going off of that to what the congressman said, and Garrett, to your point, cigars, the United States imports a third of the world's cigar consumption, but cigars are enjoyed across the world, across religions, across creeds, ethnics, political parties that we see here in Congress. And as long as the public continues to see that, I think that takes care of the whole mantra of, well, cigars is only for the elitist class. As it comes to your question regarding how do we continue to show people that, or the science is different, and I'm going to bring this up, and Josh is probably going to smile, but the national academies are right now putting out a study, or attempting to put out a study for the FDA, and I think one of the things the FDA is having an issue is they don't have a machine that smokes a cigar to show the sciences of cigar smoking like they do with cigarettes. Because everybody smokes a cigar differently. They may smoke it slower. They may smoke it faster. They may not have as long as a draw as somebody else. And when it comes to the non-cigar smokers, I really think the biggest message that resonates is look at what it takes for a cigar to get from that leaf in production to the hands of a consumer. 300 hands. And I know that's Robert's mantra, and they have a cigar brand of 300 hands, but it really is the truth. 7 years on average is the length of what it takes a cigar to become a leaf to the cigar that we know that we're smoking and buying from the shelves. Showing people that dedication. This rings back to families, decades of family work. You have the Fuentes. Rocky is creating it. Nick Padermo is making himself one hell of a family dynasty with his cigars. The Newmans and their historical aspect of cigars. It's that story that we can really put out there and educate the public that, this isn't large tobacco creating an addictive substance that will just take over the kids' bathrooms in high schools. These are things that are enjoyed by adults. They're meant to be enjoyed by adults. And that is what we need to continue to push home. And that's something that we can do from here in Congress to show that the studies and the numbers that we have out there, child usage in premium cigars is way down from where it was originally said to be. And that trend continues to decrease. So again, educating and just using platforms like How About That Cigar and all the other podcasts that's about cigars, or anytime there's info sessions about cigars, if we focus on those aspects, I really think that would be able to help our cause.
And you know what? Let me just add something too. I'm gonna say this. It sounds kind of general. Cigar smokers are very polite. If you're out even at a fire pit and someone says, "Hey, we're over here. We can smell your cigar," we always try to find. And even if I'm in a different group, they always say, "Oh, hey, sorry. Try to find another place to go." Just the last thing we want to do while we're enjoying is for somebody else to be bothered by it. So,
Yeah.
I think in general people see that.
And guys, I think, really we got to give kudos to Representative Muser and Tyler and the entire Congressional Cigar Caucus. I think that it's going to be a key turning point for the premium cigar industry. It marks a key point in the timeline of where we're pushing the message forward in, that both those folks in Congress, us on the outside, and there's a lot of momentum with the manufacturers, retailers, consumers, all kind of doing experiential teaching and doing events. I know that Tyler and Representative Muser hosted Robert Holt on the Hill. We do a series of events. We have several congressional staff coming to our office on Wednesday to touch a premium cigar, light a premium cigar, learn the ins and outs and the stories about it, the small business. But one of the things about the Congressional Cigar Caucus that I think it is pivotal, and this is a kudos to Representative Muser, it's rooted in policy. The social aspect will always be there in the premium cigar industry. That's a natural fit that's always been existent. But this, reigniting the Congressional Cigar Caucus, they have a set of priorities and a achievable path forward, how to deregulate some of the most problematic parts that the FDA is coming out, to how to address the tax situation. And they have an initial proven track record of assisting us on the outside in the associations fighting for that day in and day out. So, I'm very excited for the months and what's to come in the future of the Cigar Caucus, but also to see what policy we're able to put together when everyone's collectively working on this and messaging it correctly and getting those advocates, those consumers, those retailers, those manufacturers all involved.
Yeah.
It's about being reasonable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't you always feel very reasonable when you're having a conversation with a cigar?
Yeah.
And it's about being reasonable. The regulations, okay, let's look at them. Let's do what's reasonable. The taxation levels, and let's not be damaging. Let's not having misunderstandings about the industry drive some agenda of a rogue legislator. No, we're not going to do that. And you know what? We've got I think 47 members already, and we just sort of put the word out recently. So we have a number of women who don't smoke cigars, and some do. Don't get me wrong. We have many non-cigar smokers who are just simply advocates of small business. But we have 47 members, and we only launched it a month ago.
So, really briefly, I want to sort of ask you to give us a quick revisiting of Civics 101, so that we can, because there's possibly some people saying, well, what is a cigar caucus? What does that even mean? So why does a caucus exist? And specifically in the realm of the Congressional Cigar Caucus, what are the goals and the mission, I guess, of the Congressional Cigar Caucus?
Yeah, great question. Look, there are a number of caucuses in the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm on several. And the point of a caucus is to bring an issue and focus on a particular issue or issues. Sometimes there's an agenda. I'm on the Republican Study Committee. I'm on the Problem Solvers Caucus. I'm on the Coal Caucus. We've a lot of anthracite coal throughout my district. I'm on the Candy Caucus. Along with being, I think, the cigar distribution capital of the world, we're also the candy capital of the world. I'm on the Christmas Tree Growers Caucus. Again, we have we have a large number of Christmas tree farms in my district, and so the agenda is to know a little bit more than everybody else about that specific issue, policies that come from it, or related product. And so what we do is we meet sometimes monthly, sometimes weekly on some of them. Sometimes it's quarterly. And you bring people in, you learn a little bit more, you have a better understanding of the issues at hand, and they become better messengers, more informed legislators, more informed lawmakers, and they tend to be the people when a piece of legislation comes up that they're the go-to for the rest of the members that aren't part of it to gain some added information. And that's our role. We have our mission statement, but we also have our legislative agenda, which is always being developed. But it's really as much as a premium cigar agenda. It's a small business agenda.
Yeah.
And so taxation, overregulation, proper distribution, heck, energy costs come into it with the distributors. Being able to, things that are going on with the internet, and also, keeping out those that shouldn't be, that don't follow the premium cigar rules.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, from my standpoint, being working for the industry for a small time, and then coming to Congress, but also just being a lover of it, I think the caucus allows for us to have one bargaining position from a House of Representatives standpoint. You're having one concerted effort. In the past, we've seen through a lot of the litigation and a lot of bills that, sometimes one association, another association, they're in this universal sphere, but they're not really pushing on the same front. Providing a caucus with members who all believe the same, they believe in what they are caucusing over, will allow members of Congress to fight in a concerted effort together among the rest of Congress against these regulations and legislation.
Yeah. So, and that. Sorry, Garrett, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you ever then take that initiative with that caucus and bring it to members who historically have opposed that issue? Is that a game plan that you kind of use to try and get into the ears of the other members to try and sway votes or understanding?
Yeah. So it's all about educating and understanding. You don't have to necessarily love a cigar to appreciate the fact that small businesses and Americans' livelihoods are affiliated with their industry. And messages like agriculture, small business, jobs, economy, it resonates with members of Congress all across the country. These retailing jobs, some of these manufacturing jobs that are in their districts, those are jobs. It's not a cigar job. It's not a farming job. It's a job. And some members of Congress really will focus on that. And, you can, again, have a conversation about the true effects. It's not just because we like to smoke cigars, that's why we're doing it, and that's why you should support it. There are plenty of kind of different variables out there that we can message to push that forward, to bring you on to the side so that you can see it. There is a member, I'm not going to mention any names, that has kind of come over the fold and was against it just because smoking, they messages smoking tobacco cigarettes bad. But once we broke it down and showed the footprint of cigars in that member's district on the other side of the aisle, now they're open to it. They're willing to talk about it. And, it is small steps like that really is going to make a difference for this caucus and for these members moving forward.
And I'll just throw in there as well, not many members necessarily knew, even in Pennsylvania, that we have over 1,100 premium cigar tobacco farms in Pennsylvania. They didn't necessarily know that we are, and I mean on state legislators as well, that because of we don't have any wholesale tax, that we have the thousands of jobs that have been created in Pennsylvania. All very important. And the data. That comes up. So we're available to show the data of the surveys that get taken on whom actually smoke cigars, premium cigars, and even any cigar for that matter. It's not 16-year-old kids, right? It's not 17-year-olds. It's not 18-year-olds. It's adults.
Right.
And to that point, we're in the era of, follow the science, and we're very comfortable with following the science. If you look at the PATH study, funded by the Food and Drug Administration and the National Institute of Health, the average person has their first premium cigar at the age of 30. That's on average. So adult product, FDA recognizes that we're the lowest enforcement priority because we lack that youth access. the average premium cigar smoker has less than 2 cigars a month. So, the data is on our side to address the 2 key points of tobacco control, which are youth access and addiction. Those are non-existent in the premium cigar industry. And I think the caucus itself, in being from the industry perspective, it is an incredible information sharing vehicle, a communications vehicle, and a platform where everyone can get together, compare notes. This is what we stand for. This is what the other groups stand for. And, Congressman Muser and Tyler, their leadership in bringing everyone together is going to result in tangible successes, ones that we think that are achievable. I mean, we've talked time and time again about exemption from FDA regulation. I think that, it's a calculated approach where we can deregulate on certain things, but the fact of the matter is we're going to have to deal with the Food and Drug Administration in some facet. And being able to hone our message, share policy information, share those studies, and develop priorities and secondary and tertiary things. And I know that Congressman Muser is working on some veteran stuff with Cigars for Warriors that are related to that. And we're excited to see the issues portfolio expand, as they noted before, that this isn't just a straight tobacco issue. This is small business issues. This is veterans issues. This is agriculture and the like. And we can build broader coalitions by extending that issue portfolio beyond just tobacco.
Yeah, Josh, that's a great point you just brought up. For instance, related to the veterans, you cannot ship a cigar care package, for instance, directly from a distributor to, if you were sending a care package to our military men and women fighting overseas, right? So that's something that should change. That's really just kind of ridiculous. So case in point, that is certainly something that we're working on. And frankly, that is a bipartisan agreement there that, yes, that is a very unnecessary regulation that we're going to hope to overturn.
Yeah, and that's something that's very important to us. And we've talked about Cigars for Warriors on the show before, that, these men and women who serve, who are deployed who are of legal smoking age, to give them the opportunity to unplug from their duties for a little while and sit together as a group of soldiers, and on a little bit of off time that they have, which they don't have very much, and give them a chance to sit together and enjoy a cigar and talk about their home life for a little while, and not talk about the patrol they have to do 3 hours from now that's going to put them in harm's way, for our sakes, by the way. And exactly. So it's very important for us.
And to know that we were thinking about them and we sent them those cigars, and they're having a cigar on those that they are fighting for.
Yeah.
And that's an example of a pragmatic thing that the caucus is that they're working on. And from the outside viewpoint, it's like, if we can get a common sense victory like that, we can build off of that to the next big fight, And that's where, I'm very impressed in this short time that it's been around. And, Tyler and I have been communicating back and forth even before it was launched, is that, they have a solid plan for this, and we're proud to support it in any way that we can. And that's why I really thought it would be a good idea tonight to hear from them directly about the caucus itself.
Well, I would like to talk about the efficacy of actually bringing this up to any members of Congress that are opposed to tobacco at all. And even if you were to convince, Jim Bob Congressman, yep, I agree. I think, cigars should be exempt. However, it's political suicide for me to vote for this bill. How often do we run into that? and how do we combat that?
Well,
Well,
go ahead, Tyler.
you run into it often on Capitol Hill, not just on tobacco issues, but on a lot of different issues.
Right.
Members are constantly voting their districts. Sometimes, whether the motivations are political or what, that can be determined. But, again, I really find that there are reasonable minds on Capitol Hill, and just trying to have them disconnect from tobacco bad. Bring it down to the raw sense. We're adults. It's a choice. You can get a choice to get a COVID vaccine. You can get a choice to go outside when it's cold and you have the sniffles. You have a choice that you can smoke a cigar. And, we really, the choice is historically what this country was created on. We have this awesome thing called the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. All these things that are rights of American citizens. Well, we have a right to choose if we want to smoke a cigar or not. The issue is that message isn't being resonated across the halls of Congress. So that is something that a lot of our members really care about. And, there are doctors on the caucus that are on the caucus because they believe it is an adult's right to choose whether they want to smoke a cigar or not. So those are things that we're going to highlight. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, he was the president's physician for, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump. Ronnie Jackson's on the committee, on the caucus. There are other doctors who have publicly stated when it comes to tobacco, is it between a right to choose or legalizing a product or not? And their answer is it's a right to choose.
Yeah, well said, Tyler. You know what? Every conversation as a lawmaker, as a member of Congress, should start with the Constitution, right? That's our rule book. That's without it, it's like playing a football game with no rules. Nobody would consider that. You can't change the rules along the way. You can't say, this team, give them a fifth down. No, there's a rule book, and laws can change through proper procedures, legislative procedures. However, the fundamental within the framework of the rule book that is known as the United States Constitution. So, well said, Tyler.
Yeah.
And it's important to have, champions like Representative Muser, like Representative Emmer and the caucus to kind of lead this. I mean, they understand premium cigar policy better than most, but some of those detractors that are not on board yet, I think it's important to note that they're in every single congressional district, there is a premium tobacconist. There is a retail member, a small business in every single congressional district. So I would say to the folks that, are not on board with tobacco issues to at least hear their constituents out and find out the information, find out the impact, look at the studies. Again, we're very comfortable with what the studies showcase, and then make a decision based off of that. I mean, there are a couple of offices out there that won't even take a meeting with not only PCA as a hired, lobbyist, but, our membership at large. And that's something that I think the caucus and to have, 47 members already, that has some weight behind it. And it's only going to grow with time. So with that, I think we'll be able to get more and more people from bipartisan fashion involved. And at the end of the day, with the tax situation and defeating that federal tax, of course, the leadership of Representative Muser and others, but it took Republicans and Democrats to ultimately strip that out in the House of Representatives. And I think everyone was looking at it and gaming it. All right, the Senate, we can strip it out of the Senate. But a lot of us said and understood that the House, we can't let this go through. We can't give a stamp of approval to a $4 tax per stick or $50 to $60 federal tax per box. That's going to hurt states like Pennsylvania, Florida, New Hampshire and Washington, D.C. that don't have that OTP tax that Representative Muser referenced, that's going to hurt them the most.
Right.
So, I think that was an important achievement, and, one that hopefully signals what is to come.
Yeah, and what was brought up earlier, this whole idea of the elite can smoke a premium cigar. No, man, are you kidding me? That's who we represent. Who are my friends? Who I work with? Who develops the small businesses in this country? Right? Usually it's first generation. It's someone whose dad was a fireman or whatever it might be, and they learned a skill and they had drive, and we're the land of opportunity. So to go on an attack basically, and based upon data that has not been properly assessed and evaluated. Yes, that is absolutely a reason for and a principle behind our caucus.
Yeah, and if I could just add one last thing, the caucus has representatives from over 15 states, and I'm not just talking about Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina. We have members from Washington State, New Jersey, California, some of the most liberal states in the country. So it is something that does resonate across. And as we grow to expand the caucus, I think people would be surprised to find out who is actually on the caucus if a list were to ever be published. We're working with members across the aisle to start joining. Eventually we're going to look at taking it hopefully bicameral. There are Democrat senators who are talking about the Congressional Cigar Caucus right now, and they can't even join. So it really is promising, at least from our standpoint on Capitol Hill, that this is the excitement behind it, because people understand what it is. We don't want this to be the old boys club, the elitist club that's a smoke-filled back, dim-lit room. These guys are in suits just smoking. No, let me tell you this. The Congressional Cigar Caucus, we're rolling up our sleeves, and we're getting to work. We've got to work already. We've hit the ground running, and we're not going to stop. And to just put any kind of claims that it's an elitist thing, when I walk out of here tonight, Officer Oliver gets off at 11 o'clock in 40 minutes. I told him I'd bring him a cigar. He's a Capitol Police officer. Tell me how elite that is. There are people from all walks of life that smoke cigars.
Yeah. Well, and I think that happens with a number of things, because if you go back in time, cigars were, even if you go into, the 19th century, cigars were a working man's everyday, way to relax and unwind. And even going into the early 20th century. And I think, as happens with a lot of things, Hollywood turned, created this image of, the monopoly guy, the fat cat with the tuxedo and, like Tyler said, the smoke-filled room, after dinner with men only and this kind of thing. These days, it's not like that. And it really, over the years, over the decades, it never really was that way. Cigars weren't ever really about that, but I think Hollywood put a lot of that out there and kind of created it that way. And the fact is, like so many other categories of product, whether you're talking about cars or watches or bourbons or anything like that, cigars are the same in the fact that you can, like Garrett even mentioned, you can find a good $2 cigar that the plumber from down the road can easily afford a bundle of once a month to relax. And you can find really high quality cigars that are $100 a piece, that and everywhere in between that price range. And there are some people who have means to buy those, and more power to them. And there are some guys that can afford the $2 stick, and everybody within there, men, women, Republican, Democrat, everybody within there is part of this community that gets it, that understands that this is just about community and conversation, and even nerding out a little bit. You know, like different people nerd out about different things. We nerd out about talking about cigars, about where the leaves are grown and how they're fermented and all this cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what, Matt? By the way, my plumber, I think he makes twice what I make as a member of Congress.
Yeah.
And he gives I give him a good cigar. He gives me a better one back.
Yeah. And that's the great part about it is you never know. You never know who you're going to run into in this cigar family, you know?
These are the great equalizer. You go to any shop around the country and you're going to see people from all different walks of life. I mean, pre-COVID, we would host 2 events at our office every month to educate lawmakers, but also the general public about premium cigars. And, we're having our holiday reception Wednesday. At these events, you have 50% men, 50% women. You have people, Democrats, Republicans, all different walks of life. And people kind of leave all of the things that divide them at the door, or they can discuss them civilly over the leaf. And I think that's the greatest thing. And all of us know this and understand this very, very well. And I think that's one of the reasons why everybody on this screen is passionate about this, because we've seen the positive benefits of this community and want to see it, maintain, if not grow.
Yeah.
Just one last thing here from me. And I had talked about this when, Josh, you were on last time, and we had our state representative, Jim Nash, on. And I had talked about a recent doctor's office visit, and I was talking with the nurse, and she was in her RN training, and she was actually doing a paper on tobacco, and was saying that, all tobacco is bad, and all of the data that they had, and they're learning, and all of these nurses, think of the thousands of nurses that are getting this information about tobacco. And it's all about cigarettes. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with cigars, and it's not differentiated, but yet these cigars are lumped in there. So there is just one piece of education that's getting out there that's not telling the whole truth. And I get frustrated because I want this story of this beautiful product, this beautiful culture, this beautiful community to really be truthfully told. This is a different product than all other tobacco products.
Yeah, and Garrett, to your point, let's compare it to bourbons. It is a niche artisan craft. Yep. It is something that is made over years for people to enjoy. I don't see anybody trying to, take bourbons off shelves. No, we understand what alcohol does. We understand there's consequences if consumption is too much. So why aren't we looking at cigars the same way? Mitchell just commented there. It's actually one of the only pure tobacco products. He's right.
100% true. That's absolutely right.
And
dating back to the Native Americans. And right?
And one of my biggest gripes with it is we as a federal government are out there actively legalizing what is still a Schedule C drug in marijuana. And we're legalizing edibles, flavors, but we're turning around and trying to take cigars, make them the bad guys, take flavored cigars. And look, when it comes to flavored cigars, I am of the point that, Drew Estate, you're sitting in the Drew Estate studio. I know ladies that enjoy a Java Mint after that. But that Java Mint is a premium cigar. Though it's flavored, it's a premium cigar. And they're trying to take those away. Right. But yet we're still out here legalizing edibles, and marijuana is legalizing. Now, I'm not going to get into that. That is, again, that's an adult's right to choose. But if we're going to have that standard across the industry, then there's no reason why cigars should be made the devil.
Yeah.
Well said.
And Tyler really echoed something. He said something a little bit ago that it's so ironic, because Garrett and I have said the exact same words on the show, that so many people get in this mindset, tobacco bad, period. End of sentence, full stop, tobacco bad. And they don't take the time. And that's one of the things, and all due respect, you know, there are too many, and I'm not projecting this onto you, you know, Congressman, but too many lawmakers, in my opinion, in the past have if for expediency's sake, not done the research themselves to actually find out. And let's not even talk about cigars. Let's talk about beer, or you mentioned edibles. To take the time to actually, first of all, start from the standpoint that they're free Americans consuming a legal product that you know, of their own volition. It's too often that lawmakers in the past and even today have taken the expedient approach to just paint everything in a certain category with a broad brush and move on. And it's important to take the time to talk to, like you guys have done. And that's why I love this Cigar Caucus, because you guys are taking the time to talk to the retailers, to talk to the manufacturers, to talk to the factory people, and actually learn what's different about these products and what differentiates them from cigarettes and smokeless tobacco and vape and marijuana and all this. And that's why, and that's why Garrett brought up the fact of non-cigar consumers, non-tobacco consumers. That's one of our big things. Is it's a cigar show, but we're very passionate about teaching people who don't consume any tobacco products at all how different premium cigars are from everything else with the word tobacco in it.
No, I think you're right. I mean, people go out on smoke breaks and they smoke a pack. I don't smoke a box. I don't smoke a cigar on a smoke break. You know, it's not habitual in the sense of we need it to survive. It's only habitual because it's kind of relaxing every once in a while. Yeah.
And it's not like cigarettes. It's not a nicotine delivery device.
Sure.
It's not for, like you said, it's not for a fix. It's for a culture and a, I don't want to use the word lifestyle, but you know what I mean.
It's camaraderie.
Yeah.
You can choose to smoke at your home on your back deck. And you know what? Granted, there are a lot of people that do it. A lot of people still go to the shops, and they go just to sit there and be with people like-minded because of a cigar. And, you know, if religion, if politics pops up, then hey, so be it. But you know what? We're all there because cigars brought us there.
But a lot of times the best cigars that you have are with who you consume them with. And I think that's a key factor. And, you know, I in my role, I smoke a ton of cigars, but most of them, and the ones that I remember, are the conversations with people and the insights that you gain. I mean, this is incredible to smoke a cigar with all of you tonight, talking about the future of the industry, mapping it out. You know, I think that's what it's all about, and getting the other folks that don't enjoy premium cigars, educate them about those facts, the information. I mean, we have a lot on our website, and I know that Tyler and Representative Muser in the caucus, we're going to get more of that information and push it out through different cigar industry press, but other press out there. And I think it's time that we go on the offensive. Like we can't always be reactionary and say, you know what, all right, we have to oppose this tax. They're coming at us. Well, let's look to the future. How can we set it up so that the premium cigar industry is not only protected, but, you know, there are venues where you can enjoy an adult beverage with a cigar. I mean, believe it or not, that at the state level, we get the most friction with legislation that allows consumption of alcohol in a venue with premium cigars or food. And, you know, from my standpoint, and I think most everybody on here, if you're a business owner and you want to set up a place where you can consume cigars while having a steak or having a bourbon, you should be able to do that. And that's one of the things that we're going to be working on at the state level. You know, Vision 50, it's something that Scott Pierce worked on, our executive director. And one thing that we're implementing next year is looking for an issue in every single, all 50 states that we can do that's positive about the industry. Not necessarily fighting the taxes, but reducing the taxes, creating new vehicles, creating cross partnerships, and building broader coalitions of like-minded associations like the retailer, the National Retail Federation, the independent businesses, the Travel Association, anywhere that's connected. Believe it or not, cigars are incredible tourism vehicles, and Representative Muser, his district, that it is a cigar mecca. There are places in Florida. People travel from around the world, around the country, to go to these places that are historic venues to share a cigar with a friend or conduct business.
Yeah,
Josh, very true. Hey, I don't know if you saw, somebody said they quoted you. It's not what you're smoking, it's who you're smoking with. So that was pretty cool from Greg Free here. But I'll also just say this: when you say it's tourist, many hotels will have the fire pits and all, and there are a lot of people that look for that, right? They go with their family, they go to Hershey Park. They like being able to go out afterwards, after dinner and everything else, sit down and have a cigar. That's the hotel that they would prefer to go to. And so absolutely, that's quite meaningful. And let's face it, we've been on the, I've done probably what, Tyler, 500 Zoom meetings, calls, interviews over the last couple of years. This has been the fastest 65 minutes, right? And why?
Yeah, it's because of the cigars. It's because it's this thing that brings us together and gives us it gives us kind of, I don't want to say it gives us purpose, but it, in a way, it sort of does, because it's something that we are passionate about, because we know what it brings to us as people. We know that it brings us all the, we've talked about the C's of cigar smoking. There's camaraderie, there's ceremony, there's we say chill, which is just relaxation, and so on. And that's why, because it's something above and beyond and different than your average gas station tobacco product.
Matt, when was the last time you saw anybody crying smoking a cigar?
Good one. We'll quote you on that one.
Let's be honest. You go out. Let's say you're out on the night of the town, and you're walking outside of an establishment, and there's somebody crying, smoking a cigarette. Something happened. They're crying, smoking a cigarette because their stressors are hit, and they're lighting up a cigarette. When was the last time you walked into a cigar lounge and saw somebody crying or yelling? And not yelling because the music was too loud, because cigar joints rock out, but yelling because they were upset with the person they were talking to.
Yeah. And then the core issue that you brought up early, Tyler, we are a free country, right? If those who have issues or are asking questions, and as we stated earlier, Josh, most of it's not data-based. Okay, provide your information. Allow adults to assess the information and decide on their own what they're going to do. The restrictions for young people, absolutely. It's never been an issue for premium cigars, but yes, we will be on the side of assuring it doesn't get into the hands of young people.
So before we go any further, Representative Muser, I want to be respectful of your time. If you're good and you want to stick with us, we love having you and all that, but we want to be respectful of your time if you need to leave.
Well, I appreciate that. You know what? Why don't you continue with your agenda, and I'll just sit back and enjoy my cigar for a little bit and just listen.
Fantastic.
And I think we can continue the conversation in July at the trade show in Las Vegas. Tyler and Representative Muser have an open invitation, and I plan on giving Representative Muser an award at the trade show. So,
fantastic!
Hopefully, you'll be able to join us.
Well, that'd be nice. In my business life, I used to have to go to Las Vegas. It wasn't the worst of details for many conventions and all. Haven't been there in a while, so I look forward to that. Thank you.
And one more stat before you move on, Matt. Here's a stat for you. Winston Churchill smoked on average 7 to 8 cigars a day and lived to the ripe old age of 90.
Yeah.
So let's just keep that in mind.
It's very common. That's a good point. That, and I'm not saying across the board.
Ulysses S. Grant too. But
yeah, Ulysses S. Grant, and it's very common that people who enjoy premium cigars, even many people who worked in the premium cigar industry their entire life, there are a lot of very recognized people who gave their, spent their entire life in the premium cigar industry, who lived to a very ripe old age. And of course, we're not saying cigars extend your life. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm just saying that there's.
Well, they might.
they might. I'm not saying they don't either, but it's I think it's a testament to the mindset that premium cigars give to us that maybe reduces. Because it's a proven fact scientifically that mental stress changes our physiology. And if we can put something into our life that reduces that mental stress, most likely that's also going to improve our physiology. And cigars are not inhaled into the cigar smoke is not meant to be inhaled into the lungs.
Right.
So therefore it's and again, we're talking about a legal product consumed by consenting adults in a free country. That should honestly, and I'm that in my opinion, that should be the end of the discussion. But I know it's more complicated than that. So
unfortunately,
so let's briefly transition into our next segment. Garrett, does that work for you?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. It is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. And as always, Numero de los Muertos is brought to us by our friends at Smoke Inn. All right, Numero de los Muertos, episode 137. Garrett, what do you have for us this week?
All right. Well, this one is going to be interesting. So normally we try and figure out, I give a number, and between our guests on our show and our viewers and listeners, we try and guess how these people died. It's a little different this week. My number is 15 of these died between 1863 and 1983.
That is a major curveball.
yeah.
And I kind of like it, but okay.
Redwood trees.
Oh, wow.
That is a very, very good guess.
It is a great guess. They are people.
So
U.S. presidents.
15 of these people died between 1863 and 1965. 1985.
83.
83. 1863 and 1983.
Yep.
15 of these people died.
Hmm.
That's a long swath of time right there, Garrett.
It is.
I think Tyler said it.
U.S. presidents.
No, sir.
Mm.
All right, as always, viewers, if you guys have guesses, leave it in the comments.
Senators.
That's close.
Lobbyists. I couldn't resist.
Old lobbyists never die; they just fade away.
Oh, I love it.
Not centurions.
Judges?
No, sir.
Supreme Court justices?
No.
No.
Wow.
Does it have to do with politics at all? It does. Okay.
Wow, we all look like bad students in history.
Speakers of the House.
Are we specifically United States politics?
Yes.
Vice presidents?
No.
Congressional pages.
Yeah, they didn't have those for a while, right? Boy, oh boy.
Is it specific to one branch?
Oh, well, yes.
All right, give us a hint.
So senators was very close.
Senate majority leaders?
No. Let me give you a few of the ways that some of these people have died. Airplane. I had my notes on my phone, but now I'm using my phone as my video, so I don't have my notes with me anymore. The most common reason for these people dying were duels.
Okay. So that tells us a fair amount. So are we, I know not secretaries of Treasury. I think there was only one of them, and that was Alexander Hamilton. So
That's what I was going to say.
Duels.
Secretary of State.
One died by assassination.
It's not secretaries of state.
Mm-mm.
FDA commissioners.
Jason just put up losing presidential candidates.
Nope.
What about children of presidents or children of senators? I don't know. Fighting for their fathers and mothers.
Mitchell is the closest, and I'm going to give it to Mitchell, but specifically, it's sitting congressmen. So active sitting congressmen, 15 have died while in office.
That's pretty good. That's a super low number for what, 120 years.
Correct.
Well, we're doing all right.
Yeah, you're doing just fine.
That one was, yeah, that should have been one of the first guesses. Perhaps it just seemed like that would be, you'd think there would have been a lot more.
I thought it was going to be when I looked into it. Absolutely. So only 15 have died in office.
Well, with that sort of statistic, I feel kind of safe.
You should feel good.
You're in good shape. Plus you.
I better stay in office.
Plus, you enjoy premium cigars, so you're good.
And I would maybe recommend not dueling for a while.
Well, I can't promise that.
All right, that was this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right, so let's do a quick lightning round, and our lightning round is brought to us by our newest sponsor, LM Cigars, and they have been offering extraordinary cigars at an exceptional value since 1876. On top of premium cigars, LM offers deals on many accessories such as lighters, cutters, humidors, and the biggest cigar brands in the industry at prices that cannot be beat. If you're an avid smoker or just starting out, LM Cigars has a cigar that will suit your needs. They have everything from value to premium cigars, flavored and unflavored, from Nicaragua to the United States. Their extensive selection offers an option for every type of cigar enthusiast. For more info, please visit lmcigars.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, at LM Cigars. And as you can see from the graphic, put that back up there just for a sec. We have another giveaway going on. It starts today and it goes for 2 more weeks until the 20th. So go to howaboutthatcigar.com and enter the giveaway for some very cool stuff from LM Cigars. So I'm going to start. So Josh, you've been through this already. So I'm going to give this one. I'm going to start with Representative Muser with this first question. This is our lightning round, totally non-cigar related. So, Congressman, if you could hear the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes, who would it be and why?
The thoughts of one living person, who and why?
Yeah.
For 10 minutes?
Yeah.
My wife. No.
You're very brave.
Gee whiz. I can't help but think Xi Jinping. Although I think he's he's going to be a very challenging person for the next 20 years. So if he would be actually honest with me, I'd probably have to pick him.
I like it.
That's a good answer. We haven't had that one before. I like that answer.
I like it a lot.
Tyler, what about you?
Well, Dan took mine. I'm newly married, so definitely my wife. And I will say that, and God love her. I know I do. But I think person alive, if I could hear their thoughts for 10 minutes, I'm definitely in the realm of Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to understand what goes through his head.
Yeah.
Let's bring him in for our next Cigar Caucus meeting.
Absolutely. So, Congressman, if you were about to get into a fight, what would your soundtrack music be?
Oh, baby, that's a good one. Well, you can't help but think, the Rocky theme, right? That's always sort of motivating. But I might start disclosing a little bit here. Back in my youth, when perhaps I maybe got in a scuffle or two along the way, some of the Who's tunes, perhaps, and I don't know, some U2 music can get you a little motivated and fired up.
Yeah.
But I have to say that I spent a little bit of time in the Navy Reserves. Nothing raises the spirit for patriotism. I shouldn't say fighting, but America the Beautiful.
Yeah.
God bless America.
Yeah.
I love our patriotic songs. So perhaps
nice.
that.
Tyler, what about you?
I'm going to go back to my football and rugby days. I was a huge Disturbed Meaning of Life guy.
Wow. Yeah.
That is a song that played over my headphones getting ready for high school and college football and college rugby matches. Just that is something that will get me really, really going.
Nice. Tyler, let's start with you on this last one here. Choose one of the following. You could hit a home run as a starting pitcher. You could score a touchdown as a defensive lineman. You could score a goal in a hockey game as the goalie, or a goal in a soccer game as the goalie.
I got to go to scoring a touchdown as a defensive lineman, because been there, done that, and it was one of the best moments of my life. And just like I think it was. All the football commentators, you get a fat man spike with a fat man dance. That's what I really appreciate about it. So definitely going back to football days with defensive linemen scoring a touchdown.
Nice. Congressman, what about you?
I'm sorry. Give me the exact question again.
So choose one of the following. You could hit a home run as a starting pitcher. You could score a touchdown as a defensive lineman. You could score a hockey goal as the goalie, or score a soccer goal as the goalie.
Well, I played my share of football, and I played baseball too. Nothing like seeing a hanging curveball and whacking it over the left fielder's head. Now I was a running back and a linebacker. I never had a pick six, but I had my share of screen passes and 3 yards and a cloud of dust as a fullback. Hey, man, I'll tell you what, they're all. It's amazing what memories. No matter how old you get, you have of those great things. Any of those, I think, would be pretty satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go into this week's Notable Smokable. And as always, Notable Smokables are brought to us by our friends at Ace Prime. Notable cigars, notable passion, notable purpose. So this is a simple segment. We just each name a cigar that we've smoked recently that was interesting to us. It could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades that we just tried again for the first time in a long time, or it could be something that we smoked for the first time ever. So Josh, I'm going to start with you. What was something you smoked recently that caught your interest?
So I'm getting like my colleague Glenn Luke, where I'm doing show and tell, and I'm going to pick 25 cigars of the Oliva Advent Calendar.
Nice.
I have enjoyed them so many that I'm actually a day off. I've smoked tomorrow's cigar already, so I don't know how that quite happened, but I think that this is great. And honestly, as a kid, we had the Advent calendars with chocolate, but now as an adult who's, recently turned 30, I think I'm milking that a little bit. In July, I turned 30, late July, but now I get to enjoy the Advent calendars over Christmas that have cigars. And I know that Pete Johnson and Tatuaje is going to do one next year, so I can't wait to have that. If more brands keep doing the Advent calendars, December is going to be a month where I get to enjoy a lot of cigars.
Yeah. I'll take the grown-up Advent calendars all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, what about you?
So I recently went back to the Foundation Tabernacle. I had that a few years ago, really enjoyed it. But sometimes they're hard to come by, especially here in Washington. So Foundation Cigars, if you're listening, there's a bunch of retailers here that have one hell of a customer. But yeah, that's probably my recent notable.
Nice. Representative Muser, what was something you had recently that caught your interest?
Well, it's hard to pick one because I tend to frequent along Route 61. We got Cigars International, which runs right through my district. And then I mentioned Best Cigars, Greg Fox, and he'll always point out something very original, very different, something that he loves. And so he'll recommend that. But I will tell you this. Last week we were hunting up in Pennsylvania, and I really hadn't had a cigar in probably about 5 or 6 days. And my friend had some white label Monte Cristo number 2s. And I'll tell you what, that cigar was perfectly kept. And wow, that was a good one.
Nice. Yeah, that's one of those classic cigars that I mean, just about every time you take one out of the box, it's it's going to be a nice experience. Garrett, what was your notable this week?
Well, shout out to my guy Ronnie.
Ronnie, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Matt?
Today, Ronnie gave me a Stillwell, the Bayou 32. The Bayou 32. Only the second Stillwell that I've had, and very different than the English.
Yeah.
A lot more flavor, super unique. Just a hint. The foot smoke was a lot different than what you taste in the cigar, but fantastic.
I thought the Navy was the best one. After the Navy, I thought the closest to socket blending style was a Bayou. I thought for like the Navy person would be a person who smoked Dondurno, that kind of smoothness, a Sin, a Sober Mesa. And then I thought the Bayou was closer to like Me Kitty than Tricky Chocolate style of blending. And then the third one, I liked the English I thought it was the most aromatic. So for someone who was the people smoking around you, they would notice the English the most because it had the most pipe-esque aroma. And then The one that sold out first was the one that I liked least, was the one that was sweet, the sweetest one. Well, the only one that I thought was truly sweet, which was Aromatic number 1. And
Nice.
that one sold out like gangbusters. We had the most requests for it. And the first inch of that cigar is only the sweetness. And after that, it turns into probably the best cigar of the 4, from the second, third to the finish of the cigar. But I just couldn't get over the first part of the sweet stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, can I interject?
Yeah.
We got a few members here that are just great friends and people I respect immensely, and we do smoke a cigar on occasion, and it's one of the best things about being in Congress. Honestly, it's the members and the people that have just, some that are relatively new, some have been here for a while, some tell you stories about Ronald Reagan, and we do that usually over cigars. But like Guy Reschenthaler, for instance, came in with me in his second term. He tends to provide me with Tyler, what's that cigar that's rolled with the leaves and then you
the Oscar Valderas leaf by Oscar.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If I do him a favor, you can always count on Guy to send you a little note with one of those, and that's really nice. And Tom Cole, who's an absolute incredible guy, he shares some of his real good ones on occasion, and from Steve Womack to Hal Rogers. Hal Rogers is a legend here, and for all the right reasons. From Kentucky, he's done more for that state than Daniel Boone ever did. But anyway, they tend to have some original stogies that they're willing to share.
Nice. And just to close out the segment, so my notable this week, I've told people this previous weeks, I'm working my way through the Monster Mash box from Tatuaje, and this week, or just yesterday or a couple days ago, I got to the Wolfman in the Monster Mash box. And anybody who knows me knows that that's one of my favorite Tatuaje monsters in the series that has come out. So I had that a couple days ago. It did not disappoint. Again, very nice cigar.
I will tell you this. Every one of your sponsors, I'm going to buy a box of their cigars. You know what? First of all, they looked great. I loved how you talked about them. So I'm sold. I'm going to.
Nice. That's fantastic. We love to hear that. So to give our viewers and listeners a quick idea of some very cool stuff we have coming up next week on Monday, the 13th, we have a special holiday edition of Pairing Roulette. So we have Eric and Jordan from Cigar Dojo on the show, and we're going to do another Pairing Roulette. We spin the wheel once to find out what kind of wrapper leaf cigar we're going to smoke, and then we spin a second wheel to figure out what drink we're going to pair with that cigar. And you never know what's going to come up on the Pairing Roulette wheel. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then for the very last show of the year, on December 20th, we're going to do our year in review show. So I don't have the box near me, but we've got the box that my wife made for us, where we keep all our cigar bands from the year. We're just going to talk through it and just kind of revisit all the cool stuff that happened on How About That Cigar this year. And then the first show of 2022 on the 3rd of January will be when we present our awards for Cigar of the Year. So stay tuned for that. So for Josh and Congressman Muser and Tyler, where is the best place for our viewers and listeners to stay informed about everything going on with the Congressional Cigar Caucus?
Hey, let me just add this quickly, and I'll save this for next time, but you can Google it. Who said what this country needs is a good 5-cent cigar? I always thought it was W.C. Fields.
It was Daniel Carnegie.
Well, maybe it was him, he first, but according to the records, it was Thomas Marshall.
Okay.
From Indiana, vice president under Woodrow Wilson. So he's a Democrat. So it's a bipartisan thing, certainly.
Absolutely.
And that's why, let's face it, that comment still hold for today. What this country needs is a good premium cigar.
Yes. Amen to that. Amen to that.
Matt, answering your question, you're going to see here in the coming weeks, we're going to start rolling out Cigar Caucus social media pages, just really putting out information there to stay in touch. The Congressman's landing page, contacting us, asking questions, signing up for newsletters, things like that. And those are ways that you can do with all of the members. And we will publicize the list in the coming months, but we do want to solidify it before we do. So happy to provide you folks with that to use on your web pages and things like that as we move forward in these issues and contacting members. So just keep an eye out. Folks from the industry, Josh, the other associations, CAA, CRA, we'll make sure that they blast it out there and share the pages because really in the last few years, you found that social media is one of the best microphones, especially for the industry. There are plenty of cigar groups out there. So just continue to share the information with your friends and reaching out to members of Congress who are willing to listen or, at least willing to hear you out if they don't agree with you is the best way to move forward. And, somehow, some way, we will absolutely get all the information that we have to the public to see what we're working on and to see how we're fighting for, the stick. And I like your infographic, burn cigars, not bridges. That's something that, if you don't trademark that by tomorrow, I'm stealing it. So, you better get on that patent and that trademark there. So,
yeah, amen to that. And we are going to make the Cigar Caucus meaningful. We'll be bringing in guest speakers. We'll be more than happy to get a group and continue to stay in close contact with you all and all of your viewers, so we can share the information that we're working on. But as important, we want to hear from them what their thoughts are as to what our priorities should be.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a meaningful Cigar Caucus.
Yeah. Josh, give us a final word.
Yeah, so for PCA, premiumcigars.org, cigaraction.org that's our grassroots site, our main website. You can contact us if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, where our townhouse is located right by Union Station. Feel free to drop by and have a cigar with myself or one of our other staff members. Glenn and I are also doing kind of the media tour between now and the end of the year, gearing up for 2022 and the release of our strategy document and our new priorities. So I'll be on Simply Stogie podcast tomorrow at 2:00. I have the Vision Lab podcast coming up, and then Smoke and Tobacco next week. So very excited to do those programs, and we'll be doing more to get the information out there. Obviously, working hand in hand with the Congressional Cigar Caucus on everything that they're working on, and we'll push that information out on our channels as best as we can.
Fantastic. And I want to, say on behalf of Garrett and myself and all our viewers, how grateful we are to all of you for spending your time with us this evening and helping us learn about what's going on with all of you who are fighting on our behalf for the rights of premium cigar smokers. And thank you so much for what you do. We look forward to having you on the show again, and even more members of the Premium Cigar Caucus, the Congressional Cigar Caucus, so we can continue to learn about what we can do. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks go to you, Matt and Josh and all of you. This was really a pleasure, really an honor to be with you and your audience. Thank you for all you do, and look forward to working together. And I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Amen. Amen. And Garrett, thank you for being with us remotely from Detroit, and hope your trip is productive and fruitful. Ronnie, great to see you as always, brother.
Good seeing you, Matty.
So for all our viewers and listeners, guys, thank you so much for being a part of How About That Cigar. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. Take just a minute. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Facebook page, all that good stuff, because we don't want you guys to miss anything we have going on here on the channels. If you have questions for Garrett or myself, as always, email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Follow us on all social media at HBT Cigar. And of course, as always, burn cigars.
Not Bridget's.
Thanks, guys. Take care.